We will select a 4-race sequence from that track and attempt to come to a consensus on a pick 4 ticket. Thank you for joining us. Week number 28 of the 2018 racing season, and we are going back to Belmont Park in Elmont, New York. They have a stakes pack card. It's going to include the Belmont Derby. The pick 4 starts in race number 7 and it ends in race 10. All stakes races in the pick 4 on Saturday. My name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be jumping my friends and racing analysts, our East Coast handicapper, and he comes at you from his home in Staten Island, New York. Ray Torado, I have not seen you in a couple of weeks. How you doing, my friend?
All right, doing pretty good. What's up?
Not too much. Just sitting out here in the sweltering heat.
Hot.
Very, very hot. As a matter of fact, our next handicapper can attest to that. That's our West Coast handicapper, and he's coming at you from his smoking hot home in Temecula, California. Joe English, once again, haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. Well, I should say, actually, I have seen you, but haven't hung out with you on the air for a couple of weeks. But how are you doing?
Yeah, 115 is something I'd consider hot. So yeah, fortunately, I'm sitting in the air conditioning at home, but stepping outside the door, it's like like stepping into an oven. If you've ever, obviously, nobody's ever done that, I hope, but it's incredibly oppressive. But we got a good show, good card coming up at Belmont tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Tipping the thermometer at 92 degrees just after 9 o'clock here in Southern California. That is not usual for us here. So. All right. Last week was, well, you've already heard me say it. It's been a couple of weeks since we were on the air. So our last try at the pick 4 was way back at Churchill Downs, and we did not hit our pick 4 that day. I will not lament about that one. It is time for a quick weather update from Belmont, New York. There are sunny skies, less humidity, high of 78 degrees, and most important, the chance of rain is 0%. A total of 11 races, 5 stakes on tap for Saturday. For today, we are focused on the pick 4. It begins in race number 7, concludes in race 10. Gentlemen, the gates are locked and loaded, the outriders are clear, and the starter is ready to pop the gate. It's pick 4 post time.
Let's go.
Do it.
Race number 7, approximate post time is 5:11 p.m. Eastern time. That's 2:11 out here on the West Coast. I do not know if there's a guarantee in the pick 4, although with as many stakes races I see that day, I imagine that there is something guaranteed there. 7 furlongs on the main track. Belmont Sprint Championship Stakes Grade 2 purse is $350,000 for 3-year-olds and upward. Part of the Win and You're In series. The winner will receive an automatic berth to the Breeders' Cup Sprint. 6 starters, and your morning line favorite starts from post number 1, Limousine Liberal, trained by Ben Colebrook and ridden by Jose Ortiz. 9-5 on the Belmont Park morning line, and the race was inaugurated in 2008 as the James Marvin Stakes, and it was actually run at Saratoga Racetrack with a purse of $100,000. In 2017, the race was raised to Grade 2 status, although the purse dropped from $400,000 to $350,000, which is what we have today. Joe, you are batting leadoff for us here on the on the Belmont Sprint Championship Stakes. Who do you like in the opener?
It's funny, Rich. This field for a win and you're in race to me came up kind of light. 6-horse field. Not sure exactly where I guess there's enough pace to set it up for my top pick. At least I hope there is. I'm going with Whitmore as the 2-1 second choice in the morning line. I just think the last race that he ran against Imperial Hint is good enough. Imperial Hint would be a real short number in this spot off that race. So I can't see how Whitmore isn't going to be below 2-1. And I guess just the fact that he needs pace to run into is the only reason he wouldn't end up going off favorite. I mean, yes, I see that Limousine Liberal is coming out of the Met Mile. But to me, Limousine Liberal, his last 5 wins have all been at Churchill Downs. This race is at Belmont Park. Now, again, I'm not saying he can't win, but I'm going with Whitmore. Like I said, I just think he's coming out of he ran the best race last time out. And, B Jersey and Mind Your Biscuits were 5 clear. And obviously they are both very good horses. But like I said, I just think Whitmore's run against Imperial Hint was a little bit better. And obviously doesn't hate the Belmont track. He hasn't won over it yet. But he ran in the True North twice and finished second and third. So I'm going to take the 2-1. I'll take the second choice in the morning line, and I'm going to do the old Rich Sharp strategy: take one from the front, one from the back. The other horse I like is the 4 Shaft of Light. Jorge Navarro does really well it seems like in New Jersey and in Florida. Has not had as much success in New York as he has in other places. But this guy is a need the lead guy. His last 6, he's won 11 times, but if on my PPs, I guess I have the formulator PPs and they go back as far as 20 races. I could actually see them all if I wanted to. But his last 6 wins are all in the wire to wire variety. He's cutting back from a mile in the Salvatore Mile. He's won at 7 furlongs before, obviously in the Russell Road at Churchill, not Churchill, excuse me, Charlestown. Two back with Irad Ortiz up. Horses working bullets. I think he's going to be on the lead. I think he's the horse that they are going to have to catch. And I think I'm hopeful that just like last time when Paige McKenney nailed him on the wire, I'm assuming that Whitmore is the one who's going to do the late running here. So I just went too deep in this race. In a 6-horse field, I don't really want to go too deep. I'm going to try and narrow my picks so I can go a little bit deeper later. But this is the Rich Sharp strategy: one from the front, one from the back. The 2 Whitmore is the top choice. Shaft of Light is the second choice as the threat to go wire to wire. So, Ray, I will hand it off to you. Who do you like in the Belmont Sprint Championship?
Joe, we're in agreement here. I like Whitmore. Again, just like you said, this race seems to have enough pace for him to close into. He's 10 for 20 lifetime, 4 seconds. His last 2 years, he's 7 for 12, 10 in the money. So he's a distinct closer, 6 furlongs, but he can get 7. He almost got there 6.5. And 7, he just caught a sloppy track. And, like you said, no one's been losing Liberal that day. And that was a good field, too, in Derby Day. So, he ran Derby Day, he ran Belmont Day. Now he's going to run down. And, Santana stood on him. And I think he'll get 7 furlongs. And, the wide turn to Belmont should help him, definitely. He has run well there. So, definitely, he's going to be my single. Whitmore's going to be my single. I do have a B pick, Liberal, number 1. He was third in the mile. Behind beat Jersey, Minor Biscuits. I saw him that day. He did win a Churchill handicap. He won, like you said, 5 at Churchill. He doesn't need the lead. He can have a nice trip. He can stay on the rail. But I'd like Whitmore. Liberal could just be safe for me. But I would probably definitely gonna single Whitmore. Rich, it's Whitmore. I see a check mark. Oh, we lost Rich.
No, there's a good chance I'm going to follow along with Ray here, and and go with that too. No, I'm sorry, that was my dramatic pause. I'm really deep in the other races, guys. So
yeah, me too.
Unfortunately, this was the race that I wanted to try and go as short as possible. I do have my check mark on the 2. I've got Whitmore. I think this is I think the race is set up for his closing style, as you see there. That last one in the True North. As Joe said, Imperial Hint, really one of the class of the sprint division. Whitmore gets him if that was a 7 furlong race that day. He was coming to get him that day. And this just happens to be a 7 furlong race today. And he's got a few speed types, even though there's only 6 in the race. He does have a few. Shaft of Light is laser fast. Limousine Liberal is still pretty quick. I Love Lulu is another one. Lewisfield. So it looked to me that there was enough pace to set it up for Whitmore to go ahead and possibly be my single here. If I'm not brave enough to single, then I'll do what Ray did, and I would go with the 2 and the 1, despite the fact that, as Joe mentions, I do like that strategy of 1 from the front, 1 from the back. And Shaft of Light is definitely the fastest horse in this race. I thought that Limousine Liberal might be able to sit just off the speed a little bit and possibly hold off Whitmore the way he did down in Churchill Downs. But again, I've got the 2 as my check mark in this one. I've got the 1. Ray, I believe, just has the 2. I think Ray singled on the 2, and he put the 1 on the second line for himself there. And then Joe has got the 2 as your top selection, and also the 4.
Right.
All right. And I will go ahead and come on back. If I can figure out how to make that stop. See what happens when we haven't been on the air for a couple of weeks. I'm just like looking around and have no idea what to do here. So. All right, so I'll bring our friend out for us, and I will tell you that we are moving along to race number 8. And race number 8 is 1 mile, and it's on the inner turf. It is the Belmont Invitational Stake, or Belmont Oaks Invitational Stakes. It's a Grade 1. The purse is $1 million. Inner turf, and it is for Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere. So let me just notate that this is for Australia, New Zealand, and South African. Foaled after August 1, 2014, and before July 31, 2015. How about that? Filly 3-year-olds. The race is a Breeders' Cup Challenge win in your in event for the filly and mare turf. 10 starters, and the morning line favorite is in post number 1. It's Significant Form, trained by Chad Brown, ridden by Irad Ortiz. 7-2 on the Belmont Park morning line. The Belmont Oaks became a Grade 1 race in 1999. It was previously known as the Garden City Stakes from 2007 to 2013, when it was run in September at 1 mile and an eighth. From 1996 to 2006, it was called the Garden City Breeders' Cup, and the Rare Perfume before that. Ray, it's an interesting side note that 5 of the last 6 winners of this race were trained by, guess who?
Our special guest, Chad
There he
Brown.
is. There he is for you, buddy. Chad Brown on the turf. 6 years ago, Chad Brown had not won this race at all, and here we are 6 years later, and now he is the leading trainer at this race. Thank you, Chad. As a matter of fact, I have a feeling that's not the last time we're going to see him tonight. Ray, take it away.
Well, he's got 2 of them in this race, so he'll be on my ticket. We got the 1, and we got the 10. This race, we're gonna do like we do in the Earth Science regions, on the grass, rocks, geology, all these things we're gonna talk about. 10 horses. I'm going 70%, so I'm gonna pass my Earth Science regions here. We have 7 on my top pick is number 4, Capla Temptress.
Oh, wow. Look at
She won
this.
the
Look at
Grade
this.
1, the Talima, Woodbine. Like that horse. Oh, you gotta check about that too. Oh, we're on the same page, baby.
Look out.
I like to prep at Longchamp. She came here last year to the Breeders' Cup Tour. We saw her. Not a bad race. Russian Falls is a monster, as we saw. And as you see, 5 wide and stretched, so she was tough. Just way back there. That day, the tough was running a little quick there on Delmar. So Castellano gets the mount, and I like her to go a mile and a quarter. Probably been training up there in France in the mountains up there, and even Longchamp too in Britain. So this horse been all over, and I like the choice of 6-1. But I'm gonna go wide here. Number 1. These aren't any picks. Isn't from my selection. It's just from the rail down. Number 1, Significant Form, Chad Brown, lightly raced. I'll try and be quick here. Doesn't look like 10 furlongs will be an issue. This horse been running, 2 turns just about all her life. So, the mile race kept a little short for her. So, she's 2 for 5. Doing good. And she can sit mid pack in the safe ground. I like number 2, Chapolata. There's a French filly. She's been a distance 3 out of 4. So these horses have been a distance. So, they have the stamina. First time Lasix, first time US, which, we've been accustomed in the show to be picking a lot. Manny Franco, Clement. Number 5, Tornolet. This horse looks like it likes the Eastern turf courses. So from California. And 3-race winning streak. Flavin Pratt's here, Neil Drysdale. And, this horse is a closer, so she get enough pace here. Stretching out. Toilet's gonna be a factor here. I like number 7, La Signore, women on the Belmont inner course, wire to wire. So use the speed here. So be careful. You have one for the front here. Lightly race, 2 for 4. Lynch and Rosario, good combination. I like the race the 1 again stakes. She opened up, she settled, she relaxed, then she took off again, and nobody could beat her that day. So it was a nice firm length win. Number 8, The Way I Am, tough beat last time, 3-5 as the entry. Anyways, she was flying the Pen Oaks. Switch to Giant V. I like that. He's been riding good in the turf this year, and he could sit in the mid pack and just roll on the outside. She's 5 for 10 lifetime, so that's 50%. And then number 10, Chad Brown here, the Jose Ortiz, Mighty Scarlet. This horse is 1 mile and 3/16 and 1 mile and 8. So this horse should eat up the distance. Too far back at a slow pace last time. And there's more speed here to close into. So those are my picks, boys. 4, 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, 10. Whip out the Keno machine. And there's the 3 other ones. If you want, we just wheel it and let's call it a day. And Joe, I'm sorry, but I left you with no horses. But
I was just gonna say, I wrote it on a piece of paper. My note was save time for me, and then the other thing was I was thinking while you were talking was just hit the stupid all button. It's
that's it. Yeah, get the money.
I mean, pick 7. I'm like, come on, you're 10 deep. I mean, you're 7 deep already. What's the extra 3? I mean, come on, man, hit the all button already.
I'll save some for you.
Well, unfortunately, you really didn't save anything for me because my horses are on your ticket, so you didn't save anything. It's not like any of them. It's not like I would be say, okay, gee, let me take the other 3 horses that Ray didn't pick because those are my top choices.
I could be out in the first leg, so it'd be nothing.
Yeah. So what you'll do is you'll go all if you're the next pick 3, you go all in the first leg and just go from there. I actually like a horse a lot in this race. It's the race is really deep and really contentious, and to be honest, even if my guess is any of the other 3 horses that Ray didn't mention could win. This would be, like I said, this would be one of those races where if somebody told me anybody won, okay, yeah, that's possible. I could see it. There are no throwouts in this spot. But so I'm going to be. I mean, I would go probably 2 deep on my own ticket. I could just as easily, like Ray said, if I wanted to empty the wallet, not empty the wallet, but open the wallet a little bit more and go deep and go all. The horse I like is the 5, Toinette. And Ray, it's funny because you mentioned it in your commentary and you said, "Oh, Rushing Fall's a monster." Well, who did this horse beat last time out? Mm-hmm. The same very mentioned one you mentioned, Rushing Fall. And not only did she beat Rushing Fall, if you go back to that race, Formulator is terrific for actually being able to read the chart of that race. I didn't necessarily read the chart per se as far as how it happened in the race, but there are 3 horses that came out of that race to win. Get Stormy, who we remember, who Ray, you mentioned the way I am in the Penn Oaks.
Stormy won,
Stormy was the winner of the Penn Oaks. A horse we actually handicapped in the last show we did. Beyond Blame was also in that race, and she turned out to be the winner of the Regret Stakes. Again, the last time we were on the air. So that race has obviously been productive. Rushing Fall has not returned yet to run. But again, 3 of the horses that have run, and I think it's of the 10, I think it's 7 so far that have returned. Toinette is 1, Rushing Fall is the other, and the other horse is the last place horse who did not return. So I like the race that she comes out of. And the one thing about Neil Drysdale is he's generally fairly conservative as a trainer, but he's having a fantastic renaissance. He's over the past year he's at 18%. And he's got a 2.61 ROI on the turf. So you cannot dismiss anything he sends out. Flavian Pratt, obviously, there's nothing for him to ride at Los so he's coming along for the ride. And this horse is 3 for 3 on the grass, and basically hasn't lost this year. So if I'm going to get this horse at 5-1 for a really conservative trainer and coming out of maybe the best race, and again, we'll see whether the Wonder again or the Edgewood was the better race. Going forward, but I'll take 5-1 on Toinette because I know Chad Brown's other 2 are going to get money. I know Significance Form's going to get money. But the other horse I do like is the 10. Mighty Scarlet is coming off of a decent race in the Wonder again, and she was kind of a victim. And it's funny because I remember we go back to Heart, and we were talking about all the horses that chased Heart and couldn't catch Heart. This was basically the same thing. Mighty Scarlet was, you could see 7 lengths back at the first call and closed on a really nice amount of ground to only lose by a length and a half, and to only lose to her stablemate, significant form, by a neck. I think this horse is getting good at the right time. Obviously, Chad Brown knows how to make them peak. Third off the layoff. I think this horse has a really good shot of upsetting. And again, she's 8-1, whereas significant form is half of that. And my guess is she's going to be less than half of that. She'll probably be around 2-1, 5-2, even in this competitive field. I don't think you're going to get 7-2. I mean, if you do, that's terrific. But I think Mighty Scarlet's going to have is probably going to, sitting outside, going to get a nice clean trip. So I like her chances. I think there's a little bit more pace. And I think if there's not more pace, I think Jose Ortiz is going to make an adjustment and be sitting a little bit closer to the pace than he did last time. I'm thinking that significant form is probably going to the lead. La Signore might not necessarily need the lead, but she'll probably be up close. And maybe Mighty Scarlet sits outside those two, or maybe in the second flight sits outside. But the chances are that the horse is going to be in the clear. I don't see this horse getting into any traffic trouble, and I pretty much trust Jose Ortiz in this spot. So I went 5 and 10, and I wanted to actually. It's an interesting race because there are no Grade 1 winners in the race, and there's only one horse that's won at 1.25 miles. So all of these horses are really trying something new for the first time, except for the Aidan O'Brien invader, Athena. She's the only horse who won at 1.25 miles. And the other thing about Athena is, if you look at, remember we talked about a horse a few weeks ago that actually ran like 2 days in a row. This horse has run. Look at the month of May 5th, May 11th, May 19th, May 31st. If you ran that here, Pete'd be all over your butt. No way. There's no way you can get away with that. But again, it's a really interesting race, and really nobody would surprise me as the winner. So I have to try and give more of an opinion. I don't like to use the Keno machine that much. I mean, again, I could in this spot, but I just went with the 5 Toinette as my top choice. And I do like Mighty Scarlet as the second choice for me. I will, unfortunately, Rich, I will split my Chad Browns. I'll take the longer price, and I'll take the horse that promises to get a clean trip because of the outside post. So 5-10 for me in the Belmont Oaks. Rich?
No, I used them all. I went with Rave Tactic here. I fired up my own little Keno machine. Oddly enough, look at that. We're both playing the Keno machine. We still end up with the same number at the very top, but just 4. So I like Capla Temptress here. I do not know much about the trainer, Marco Botti. But I do know that this was a Belmont horse previously, and Marco Botti before that. So they sent her over here and had her trained by Belmont while she was here, and then he gave her back and he took her to Longchamp, and she finished a half a length off in a Grade 1 in a 14-horse field over there at Longchamp after finishing 4.5 behind Rushing Fall last year at the in Del Mar. So prior to that, she had beaten, if you look at it, I mean, that's forever ago as far as the horse is concerned, September of 2017. So we're almost at 1 year from them. But she did beat Wonder Godot last year in the Natalma. So that caught my eye. I was looking for a bit of a closer here. And again, looking for those Euros on their preferred surface. Got Javier Castellano aboard. And so the 4 got my top choice here. In addition to that, if I'm not mistaken, if you go all the way up to the top, I've got most of Ray's Keno ticket covered. I've got the 4, 5, 6, 7. So I went just all the ones in the middle, and then I used the 2 Chad Browns. So on the ends, I went 1, 10. So I've actually got 4 with 1, 5 through 7, and 10 if you want them in order, or as I said, just 1, 4 through 7, and 10. I will go ahead and come on back. That's the first of my mess races. There's a couple of extra in here. This was a tough card. I thought it was a tough card. And I am back, and we are going to go ahead and move along to race number 9. And race number 9 is the Suburban Stakes. They are going 1.25 miles on the main track. It's a Grade 2. The purse is $700,000 for 4-year-olds and upward. 11 starters, and your morning line favorite at 3-1 is in post number 5. It's Dr. Door, trained by Bob Baffert and ridden by Joe Talamo. The Suburban is the final of the 3 races that once composed the New York Handicap. The New York Handicap Triple Crown series of races, as it follows the Met Handicap and the Brooklyn Handicap. named after the city and suburban handicap in England. The Suburban will have its 132nd running in 2018. First held at Leonard Jerome's Sheepshead Bay. You guys try and say that 3 times fast. Racetrack in 1884. It stayed at that location until 1913. In 2009, this race was downgraded from a Grade 1 to a Grade 2 event. Joe, you are up first in the Suburban. Don't forget who's watching.
I don't care who's watching. Sheepshead Bay, Sheepshead Bay, Sheepshead Bay. Ray and I've been there
Sheepshead
enough.
Bay.
It's not that hard for us to say, fortunately.
Sheepshead Bay.
being that we're both from the area. Yeah, and I see Baffert there, but he doesn't do as well without that Smith guy. So I'm going to. I'm not saying I wouldn't. He's obviously a factor in the race. He's going to be one of the 2 speeds. I mean, I actually like the other speed horse better. I like Diversify a little bit better. 7 tries at Belmont, 5 wins, 2 seconds, including the Jockey Club Gold Club Grade 1 at this distance last year in October. So of the 2 speed horses, I don't know that I'm not sure Dr. Door wants to go that far. She lost to two. He lost to 2 pretty good horses last time out. And Baffert's horses have been running well outside of California. There was some social media conjecture as to whether did they bring Dr. Door to soften up, diversify, so that Opportunity could win the race. I unfortunately I can't get inside Baffert's mind, and I'm not going to try. Maybe he's just been watching the show and he's doing his Rich Sharp one from the front, run from the back deal. So maybe that's why Dr. Door is in here. Maybe because it's not really a 2-turn race and it's a turn and a half, sort of. That's the reason he's here. But actually, it's funny. The horse I like on top is not a Baffert, not a Chad Brown, but a Todd Pletcher. I like Tapret here. I think obviously he can win it a mile and a half. He won the Belmont last year. I'm not particularly bothered by him losing that last race to Timeline. Obviously, you see there's an excuse that he hit the gate, but this was obviously that $80,000 optional claimer was not the goal for a horse who just had won the Belmont the previous year. That was just a starting point. Obviously, Jose Ortiz gets aboard, and what it turns out in this race is I'm not splitting my Ortiz brothers. So I'm going with Diversify because I think he's going to sit right off Dr. Door. And if for whatever reason Dr. Door proves to be a mile and a 16th or a mile and an 8th horse, Diversify is going to be the horse to get first run. And we know he's won a race at a mile and a quarter over this track before. So I would take him as a horse that gets first run. And again, I think Tappert's going to be fairly close to the pace. He gets a nice draw down in post 4. And again, I'm not bothered by that last race. The last race wasn't more than a prep for this. This I'm assuming was more of the target. And maybe even there may even be targets up at Saratoga that Todd Pletcher's trying to go with. And it's kind of funny that Johnny V doesn't end up on the Pletcher horse, but Ortiz obviously retains the mount. But again, I went with Tappert and Diversify. So in the spirit of not splitting Chad Brown's or Bob Affords or anything, I'm not splitting my Ortiz brothers. So I went Tappert at 7-2 and Diversify at 6-1 as my top choices in the Suburban Handicap. And Rich, you said 132 years?
Yeah, 132nd running.
Runnings? Wow. It's funny because I mean, back to the Queen's Plate. The Queen's Plate was like 150 something.
God.
I think that's what I heard them say. But anyway, I digress. Tappert and Diversify are the two choices for me in the Suburban. So 4 and 10 on my top line. Ray, take it away.
Yeah, this race has lost some luster. I remember going to this race maybe about 5 years ago. Just happened to go to a track today where it was one of the headlines of the day. Like say, stakes pack card. And for the Suburban, which I think was maybe 1 or 2 stakes that day, there must have been 5,000 people. So I was like, I can't believe this Suburban Stakes. I remember back in the old days was really a big deal. grade one, like you said, the Triple Crown of the handicap horses.
Sure.
But it's lost some luster, so that's it is what it is. So many other races throughout the year, so what can you do? But anyways, this race, I like opportunity. I mean, he's 2 for 2 at Belmont. I know Baffert. It's not Belmont Stakes Day, which he's been like I don't know 7 for his last 7. But anyway, he does run well at Belmont. And he sends his horses here to win. He's really tough, and Pratt rides, and opportunity has that style. He's a grinder. He's gonna sit back and just wait for the race to come to him, and he'd be in the race. He just chops away, and finds his way to the winner's circle. And he's at least getting to the money, at least be in the race. And whether he's good enough or not, that's the story. But he likes his long distances. He's has some good races. The Brooklyn he won nicely, and he likes Belmont. As you can see, he's been running decent against some big horses. So 9-2, I'll take that price. I do like 10 diversify. He's one of those New York boy, New York loving track horse. He just loves New York tracks. He's Belmont. He's 5 for 7. He's running well inside Saratoga. They should just keep him here. Keep him here. Run him all the stake races, and that's it. They tried. They tried before. The Churchill, he finished 4th. Charlestown was a bomb. But just keep him here as a young bird and run him New York tracks and make all the money. He loves these tracks. So 6-1, he's worth that pick too. I do like Tappert. It's a good comeback race for him. He prepped the last race is a good comeback race, and he did win in this track Belmont Stakes, and he's gonna just improve as he gets older, and he's another grinder, and Ortiz knows how to ride him, and he finds his way into the race too. He's another one, so I can see him tap it, and opportunity all at the wire. And I do like Dr. Door a little bit too. He's got good speed, and he could open up on him, and hopefully he likes the distance. He did win the Gold Cup, and maybe he can slow it down, and see what happens. So those would be my 4 horses there. 8, 10, 4, 5 for me. I did find this race a little wide open too, so I go 4 deep. So, Rich.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little self-conscious. I left Tappert off, but hearing the two of you guys kind of both go on there. I remember, folks, this is Friday night for a Saturday card, so it's not like I don't have an opportunity to go back and review my handicapping here. So I did not split Bob Affords here. I used them both. I used Dr. Door, the 5, who is the favorite, as we saw there. He had won 3 in a row before he got beat by a pretty darn good horse. Accelerate, really. He's probably stamped himself as the class of the older division out here on the West Coast, for whatever that's worth. At least until we see the horse that's actually named West Coast. But I didn't actually have him as their, and opportunity kind of scares me. This is a horse who actually dueled with California Chrome back in the day. He's a 7-year-old, if I'm not mistaken. Closing in on $5 million in career earnings. But he seems to have developed an affinity for 1, Belmont Park, and 2, distance racing, which Belmont Park has kind of got these funky distances. Joe talked about it before. It's kind of like a 1.5 when they do the 1.25 on the dirt there. You have to start out on your turn. And it seems like Opportunity has turned into one of those horses who kind of funky enough seems to like these longer distance races. You heard Ray alluding to the way that he wins them. He kind of just grinds you down. And he's got Pratt aboard, and Flavian already won a race. He won a race there on Thursday. I was watching, so I wasn't going to split my Baffords and like that. But ironically enough, my check mark is on the New York host. So Diversify is 5 for 7 at Belmont. He's got 2 second places. He is the horse. He's actually 1 for 1 at the distance. If you look down here, you're not going to see a whole lot of horses that have a lot of success at this specific 1.25 distance. He does. He's a speed horse. We threw out that clunker bit he put up at the Charlestown Classic. Not only was he coming off a layoff, but you also had the funky little bull ring there, so he just didn't take to that one. And he came right back out of that, and he did win. It was a state bred that was there at New York. But I think he's ready to fire for Richard Violet, and I think this might have been the place that he was aiming him for all along anyway. So I've got Diversify as my top choice in the Suburban Handicap. I went 10, and then I didn't split my Baffert, so I've got 5-8. I believe Ray has got the 8 as his top choice, so he's got Opportunity as his top choice, and then he went 10, 4, 5. And Joe has the 4, so he's got Tappert as his top choice, and he backed that up with the 10.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even realize that Opportunity was 9-2.
It seems like he's coming back now that people are starting to recognize kind of what I just said.
Yeah, it's funny though. If you look at his last 2 races, the last 2 wins are at 1.5 miles. I almost wonder if 1.25 miles is too short.
I had wondered the same thing. He seems like he's actually he's developing into a real distance horse.
Yeah, he just, like you say, he grinds you down. But at 7, it just takes him a little bit long, maybe a little bit longer to get into gear. But we'll see. We'll see tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. On to the feature. This is race number 10. They're going 1.25 miles on the inner turf. It's the Belmont Derby Invitational Stakes. It's a grade 1. The purse is $1.2 million. And it is, again, that northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere for Australian, New Zealand, South African. And they've got that little tiny window of August 2014 to July 31st, 2015 for the 3-year-olds. 9 starters, and your morning line favorite starts from post number 3. It's Analyze It, trained by Chad Brown and ridden by Jose Ortiz. 5-2 on the Belmont Park morning line. Originally, the Jamaica Handicap, the original race was named after the Jamaica District in Queens, New York. The first running took place in 1929 at the Jamaica Racetrack. In 2014, the race became a feature portion of the Stars and Stripes Racing Festival at Belmont Park. The race was renamed, moved from October to July, increased in distance from 1.1 miles to 1.25 miles, and had the purse increase from $500,000 to $1.2 million. Ray, back to you for the finale, and guess what? Look who's back again.
Brown.
Who do you like in the Belmont Derby?
What can Brown do for you?
But he's only got 1.
Yeah, I remember that weekend we did the Penn Mile, they had the Pennine Ridge, and they interviewed Chad Brown, and he says, I'm gonna keep Analyze It, here and send out he had a horse to go over to Penn National. And so I'm going with Analyze It because it was Catholic Boy, I'm sorry. Yeah, Catholic Boy. Was it? No. Well, anyways. It was a horse. Huh? Yeah. But I like Analyze It because he did run in the Pennine Ridge and he got the benefit of running over the course, and that was a damn good race, I tell you. I mean, they go 45-3, 1.8 miles.
Those two really got after each other.
Those two, Catholic Boy, Analyze It. Those are my 2 horses right there. That's it. I'm standing ground, 3 and 7. I think they're gonna repeat this race and to the wire. I think these 2 horses, they ran together and they ran really fast, and this going an extra 1/4 mile, I think they could get it. So my top choice is Analyze It. He's 3 for 4, a neck of being 4 for 4, undefeated. He did come up with a slight layoff that race, and just he's 1-5 that day. I was really surprised, but he just got beat by the neck. Catholic Boy put in a tremendous race too. We saw him on the Triple Crown Trail, and then after Florida Derby, which is Pullman Grass, and look, he ran in Pennine Ridge, and he beat Analyze It, on his surface. So it's a good horse too. So these are my 2 horses, and that's 3 and 7 for me. Joe, I'll be short.
It's funny you mentioned Catholic Boy, Ray, and I think it's been proven now. I think he won those 2 dirt races, or he won the dirt race in the Remsen on his class alone. I just think he's a better turf horse than he is a dirt horse, but I digress. It's funny. I as Rich is scrolling, I see where his check mark is, and this is one time that I can agree with Rich. Aiden O'Brien doesn't necessarily do all that well on dirt, but he's a threat on turf. And the thing about it is his horses, if you look at the winners that he sent over here, sometimes they don't get bet. A lot of them are 5-1, 6-1. I mean, I even saw 11-1. I don't think people in the U.S. are really all that, sold on how great a trainer he is. But I got a chance to watch the race that he won at Royal Ascot, and he was drawing away from that field that day. And it's funny, they ran in that race because he ran sixth in the Jockey Club in France, and he was actually really close to the lead. He could have won that race as well. So Ryan Moore obviously stays aboard for O'Brien. He's here to ride Mendelssohn in the Dwyer, which is race 6, which is not part of the sequence. And he, again, because this, I don't know if it's just because the way the race came up or what the calendar, maybe it's just the stakes calendar. He's the only horse who's won at 1.25 miles. Actually, that's not true. Kingstar, who's also a European, has run at 1.25 miles. Kingstar has been running on soft turf only, at least so far. And I can promise you that he's not getting soft turf tomorrow at Belmont. They're still running 6 and 107 over there, Ray?
Yeah, it's still
that's proof enough. This is going to be a hard turf course.
Sand it down.
And I think, again, it's the 1.25 mile distance. He's won that distance. He's competed in grade 1s. I'm going to take the Foreign Invader, and I'm kind of hopeful that Catholic Boy and Analyze It take all the money, and that Hunting Horn actually kind of drifts up from that morning line. I mean, I can see it happening. I can see him going off 9-2, 4-1, and 7. But to me, even 7-2 is a fair price for an Aidan O'Brien trainee who just won a graded stake at Ascot 3 weeks ago and is getting Lasix for the first time on Saturday. Like Ray said, I don't need to go into any more detail about the Pennine Ridge. And if you like either Analyze It or Catholic Boy, you almost have to use the other one. I don't think you can like both of them. You can't like one and not like the other. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe unless you think one can't get 1.25 miles, I don't think that should be a problem for either of them. So they will both be on my ticket. Unfortunately, I think they're going to be shorter prices. But again, in a pick 4, you're just trying to survive. And if this is the last leg and I'm still alive and I've got 3 deep and those three are my horses, I'd be pretty happy. So I'm going to go 4, 3, 7 in that order in the Belmont Derby Invitational. And I'm going to actually throw in a horse who I think could actually hit the board at a huge number, and that's the 1, Channel Cat. And that's the only reason I'm doing that is because this is an angle that I discovered a few weeks ago, actually on Derby Day with Murad, who's also happens to be in this race. Fletcher has just done really, really well with their horses third off the layoff. And that's where Channel Cat seems to be at this moment. The third race in the cycle, the last race was a little bit better. Again, only got beat by the 2 horses that were, beat him, Catholic Boy and Analyze It in the Pennine Ridge. And if this horse can get a little bit better, I think the horse might be able to hit the board if something happens to one of the others. And again, he's 30-1. Saez is having a very nice year, and Pletcher is, Pletcher. He's just, again, he's not known as a turf guy, but because of that third off the layoff angle, I'm gonna take a shot that he can be in the try or in the superfecta at 30-1. And in this race, he might even float up from that. He might even be closer to 50-1 by the time post time rolls around. So 4, 3, 7 for me, with the 1 as a horse who could hit the board at a huge number. Rich? Is that your dramatic pause again?
Sorry about that. I was clearing my throat and didn't clear off my mute button. I apologize for that once again. And unfortunately, you know what? I didn't really have anything different for you anyway, Joe. I have 4, 3, 7 down on my page, kind of almost textbook. The 4 is my top pick. So Aidan O'Brien. The logic here being, if you can win a grade 3 at Ascot by 4.5 lengths, drawing off in a 16-horse field for Aidan O'Brien, and you're getting the first-time Lasix, and you've already won twice at this distance, that's good enough for me. I didn't even need to see the race, but I appreciate that you did. And hearing that someone saw the race and that the horse was impressive kind of even makes me that much more solid on my check mark. So I do have the 4, and kind of the exact same logic that you had. I really would like to see that the 3, Analyze It, is the horse to beat here. With Chad Brown and Jose Ortiz. But based on what I saw Catholic Boy do to him in that last race, and yeah, maybe a little bit of a layoff, but as I'm saying that, I just want you guys to know that I know you can't see me with my head shaking back and forth going, no, not the layoff. And when Analyze It went by Catholic Boy, I think me and every other racing fan in the country thought that's it. He was done, and not only do you have to check a little bit to have to come around the outside of him. That was impressive. I mean, considering that they're going a little bit further today, I would almost, lean the other way and say, I'm wondering how Analyze It, gets up on Catholic Boy today, considering that it didn't seem like he was coming back to win that race. But that being said, I'm not going to split those two apart, considering how close they were. I'm going 4.37. Joe's going 4.37. Ray's just going 3.7. I'm coming back, and we will go ahead and get
I'm gonna
working.
have to form my ticket.
Ray's going to throw the four.
Yeah, no,
All right.
The race he's coming out of was he sat really nicely and chilled, and he just blew that field away at the end.
All right, and now you guys can watch.
Being
We'll
that
go
it was
ahead.
a mile and a quarter is perfect for this. Perfect for this race. Oh God! Anything going on in horse racing while Rich does the ticket? Well, we got Del Mar in less than 2 weeks. Saratoga 2 weeks from today.
Saratoga is 2 weeks from today.
Saratoga's 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Open Day's 2 weeks from
The
today.
20th,
Belmont
Wow.
is Del Mar is the 18th, which is 2 weeks from this past Wednesday. So 12 days.
Gonna see if I can squeeze a trip out there this year again.
To Del Mar?
No, to Saratoga.
Oh.
Last year I went for 2 days.
Yeah, no, I know. You went midweek, right? You went
Yeah,
midweek.
midweek, yeah. Less crowded.
Yeah.
You can walk around, you can enjoy yourself.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody knew they canceled Los Al today, not surprisingly.
Whew,
Actually,
thank
ran
God.
two. Believe it or not, they actually ran 2 races, and then they decided to cancel.
That's a joke, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Belmont
why.
canceled
Well, it's funny because
Sunday.
they did that at Belmont too,
It
and
was
they
like-
did it at Belmont like 15 minutes before post time. Everybody got
It was
peeved
95 degrees. Yeah.
because they could have made the decision 2 hours earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody wouldn't have got on the train or however got in their cars.
Oh, that's right.
And they made it all the way there to find out. Oh, by the way, haha, we're not running. And Los Al did the same thing. It's funny. I almost wonder if there shouldn't be some kind of safeguard put in place, like I don't know, if the weather forecast is supposed to be like out here, if it's supposed to be over 100, why are we even bothering here?
Yeah, like they do with the snow. The snow they cancel early all the time.
I mean, I can't imagine them being at Santa Anita and running today. I mean, if you think it was hot at Los Al, forget it. Santa Anita is probably closer to 120, or close to like where we were at 115.
On the track, yeah.
I really just wonder if track management just doesn't. I mean, I get Los Alamitos trying to run because Los Alamitos runs like 2 weeks, and 2 weeks in the fall and 2 weeks in the winter, and that's it. So they're really compressed for time, and if they lose a day, it's really hard to replace.
Yeah.
But Belmont, I don't know. That to me, they should have made that decision the night before.
Sure, yeah.
But again, I guess it's part of what makes racing so, I don't know, the butt of everybody's jokes. Why there's no national commission, there's no leadership. Everybody just does what they want to do, and it seems like sometimes common sense is tossed out the window. Just wondering why. Really wondering why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the heat, you can't run like that in the heat, man. It's dangerous.
Yeah, no, I mean, again,
And why
like I
should
said,
people be upset if you're at the track and they cancel? Just find a screen and pick another track.
Well, no, but because most people don't do what we do and handicap.
Yes, yeah, they go there for the live races, the owners, family of the owners, friends of the owners. Yeah.
But I don't know if this happened, but at least I would hope that at least Belmont would give people like either a refund for their admission or some kind of pass towards a future card for wasting, for lack of a better term, wasting their time,
wasting your day,
come out to the track to see racing and they get no product. mean, I really, and again, I hope it happened, and I wish it would have been, publicized if it did happen. That hey, if you made it out to Belmont, you're going to get like a pass for like 2 Saturdays or like 2 days during the next meet or whatever, to make just to compensate people for everything that they for the effort that they made to get there. But I didn't hear anything about that. And
Naira, they told you have a safe trip home.
That's kind of it's funny because I mean the old grizzled veterans, guys like us, we would go anyway. That's not going to change us. But if you really want to make new fans, and like, can you imagine like if that was the first time you brought somebody new to the track and that happened?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not doing this again. Screw that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'd be like, that's 4 or 5 more people that you just
turned off.
Told,
Sure, yeah.
Basically flip the bird to, and and they're not going to come back. If it's going to be 120 and I can see horses, I'd rather be in Vegas for that.
Yeah. All right. So if I've got this correct, we've got 5 times 4 would be 20, times 3 would be 60, and then this first race we've still got 3 up front. If we wanted to trim it down to a $60 pick 4, we could trim out one of these first horses and we've all got the 2.
Well, I mean, we could. Yeah, I mean, we could just go with the 2. We could just go with Whitmore and single and cut it down even further if we want. If we want to, because I mean, we're obviously really deep in leg 2 and leg 3.
Yeah. And that wasn't even using
leg 4. Yeah, leg 4. I don't think we can do anything about.
Yeah, that seems slim to me. The 3 and the 7 was everybody's pick, and then the 4.
Yeah. Right.
And
on the 4 is our top pick, Rich. So we can't. We're not going to. We're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything about that.
Right. And on this leg, we've got the top picks are the 4 and the 5 for each of us. We all had the 10. We all had the other the second Chad Brown horse.
Right.
Ray and I both had the 1, and Ray and I both had the 5 as well.
So this is how much? This is 15 by 12. So that's a $90 ticket.
Yeah, it's a $90 ticket already. So again, if we went this way, though, it's
funny because I mean, unless we do that,
this would be a $30 ticket.
It's funny. I'd like to include another horse in that leg, but.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, because I mean, Limousine
60.
Limousine Liberal is the favorite, so if we want, we can toss the favorite there, I guess. Although I mean,
because remember he was my B picture now, and I was signaling the 2. So
I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't use him at all. So if we went that way, that would be 60.
I'll be fine with that. Yeah,
I'd be okay with that as opposed to.
I did like the 4 too. I just want to go 3 deep because I was going crazy on the legs.
I've got no problem with the 4. Again, kind of being forced to pick one or the other. I would have gone the 1, but I like the 4 as well. Jorge Navarro, speed horse. All right, so there's our pick. It's 2-4 with. We'll clean this up before we send it out, but 4-5 1-7 10 with 8-4 10-5 with 4-3 7. This one, and I'll fix that for you.
All right, works for me. Now, I just don't. It's funny. The last thing I want to see happen is, and because this horse has disappointed us so many times before, I don't want to see favorable outcome win that race for Chad Brown. I'm sorry. If he wins that race, I don't even know if I watch the rest of the card. I would just turn it off.
That's really it's a really good card, as Joe mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, did you get? I'm sorry, Joe. Did you get that before I start coming back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. We even talk about the Dwyer with Mendelssohn.
Mendelssohn, still pick 5 the race before. I'd love to go, but I'm having a refrigerated delivery, so forget that. From 3:30 to 6:30. Thank you. You ruined my day. Could have been in the morning, right?
So,
and Ferenz Fires in there.
PC Richards.
What time?
Noble Indy as well, right? So you've got
post time is 2:11 Pacific.
Yeah, post time is 2:11 Pacific.
For the
and
it's funny. one story before we go. I was when I pulled the PPs, I actually, because Belmont almost never does this, where they pull and they put the pick 4. They almost always do the last 4 races. So I actually handicapped the last race.
Oh,
Because usually they are all almost always the last 4. It doesn't matter what they put in that last spot. Almost always. But then I
is
saw,
there one
oh,
February
crap.
6th?
I said, now I got to handicap race 7. Darn it. Of course, it's
No,
just
there's not. No. You're
There's
right.
just a 6. No, there's no pick 4 starting race 8.
Yeah, no, there's.
They did the all stakes one, which is I actually prefer. I just went on historical data and I figured, oh, it's going to be the last 4. Anyway, go ahead, Rich, wrap it up.
All right. For those of you watching, if you enjoyed the show, well, we're going to be back next week because that's what the Three Broke Guys do. We will get together and take a look at another exciting card. Not first time ever. It's actually going to be second time ever, but we're going to Indiana and the Indiana Derby at Indiana Downs in Shelbyville, Indiana. All right, gentlemen, that's all the time we have for tonight. It's always a pleasure to handicap with the two of you.
Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
Always.
And no mention of LeBron James on this show yet.
Not yet.
No.
I was in my soccer mode, as you can see here from my shirt.
Congrats.
For Joe English and Ray Torado, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you for watching Three Broke Guys Handicapping. Good luck and good night.
Good night.
Good night.